Imagine this. Two doctors give you the exact same diagnosis, but one says you have a 90% chance of survival, while the other says there's a 10% chance you might die. Same numbers, same reality. Yet, one feels like hope and the other feels like fear. And in that instant, your brain makes a choice, not based on logic, but on how the words were framed. It's not your fault. It's how the human mind has been wired for thousands of years. A single sentence, the single phrase, can quietly push you toward one decision and away from another. Marketers know this. Politicians use it. Even your friends and family do it, sometimes without realizing it. It's a silent psychological trick that shapes your reality without you even noticing. And here's the scary part. Right now, someone could be using it on you. This is the hidden power of the framing effect. And once you understand it, you'll start to see the invisible strings behind almost every decision you make. We like to believe that every choice we make is purely logical, that we weigh the pros and cons, think carefully, and then decide. But psychology proves otherwise. In fact, our decisions are shockingly fragile, easily swayed by just a few words. It's not about the facts themselves. It's about how those facts are presented. Think about advertising. Buy one, get one free feels way more exciting than 50% off, even though both mean the same thing. Why? Because the first feels like a gain, while the second feels like just saving money. The brain is naturally drawn to opportunity, not restraint. And this is exactly why the framing effect is so powerful. It doesn't change reality. It changes your perception of reality. And perception is what guides every choice you make, from how you spend your money, to how you vote, to whether you say yes or no to life-changing decisions. We're not as independent in our choices as we like to think. Instead, we're constantly nudged, influenced, and steered by the way information is packaged. The scary thing is, most people never even realize it's happening. And that's what makes the framing effect one of the most dangerous psychological tricks in existence. Because the moment you don't see it, you're already trapped by it. The framing effect, in its simplest form, is the idea that the way information is presented changes the way we react to it. It's not about the truth of the statement, but the frame around that truth. And this frame has the power to turn the same reality into either comfort or fear. Imagine two headlines on the same news story. One says, unemployment rate drops to 5%. The other says, 1 out of every 20 people can't find work. They're describing the same statistic, but they trigger completely different emotions. One inspires relief, the other sparks worry. That's the framing effect working in real time. Now, let's look at how it plays out in medicine. When doctors tell patients there's a 70% chance of success, more people agree to treatment. But if they say there's a 30% chance of failure, acceptance rates drop dramatically. Nothing about the treatment changes. Only the words do. And yet, lives are literally decided by how the choice is framed. In marketing, this effect is everywhere. Act now and save $50 feels weaker than don't miss out, losing $50 of value. Marketers know you fear loss more than you crave gain, so they frame offers to make you act without hesitation. Supermarkets frame deals as buy one, get one free because it feels like a reward. The math is identical to 50% off, but the emotional pull is far stronger. Politics is another breeding ground for framing. Candidates rarely say, we raised taxes. Instead, they frame it as, we invested in our future. One version makes you angry. The other makes you hopeful. Same policy, opposite reaction. But why does this work so well? The answer lies in how our brains are built. Our decisions aren't guided only by logic. They're deeply influenced by emotion. The human brain has what psychologists call loss aversion. We hate losing something far more than we enjoy gaining it. So, when information is framed as a potential loss, we react more strongly. That's why words like risk, death, or loss hit harder than reward or gain. Another reason is cognitive shortcut. Our brain takes the easy path. It looks at how information is framed, instead of analyzing it deeply. This helps us make quick decisions, but it also makes us easy to manipulate. And here's the danger. Once you're inside a certain frame, you rarely question it. You accept it as reality, without realizing the truth could look completely different in another frame. Think about media headlines. One channel says, crime rates are down 10%. Another says, thousands of new crimes still committed this year. Both are true, but they shape two completely opposite worldviews. And those worldviews influence how people vote, how they feel, and even how safe they believe they are. The framing effect doesn't just change small decisions. It rewires entire belief system. It changes how you see the world, how you trust authority, and even how you remember events. That's why it's not just a marketing trick. It's a tool of influence at the highest levels. And the scariest part? The people using it know exactly what they're doing. They know which words will comfort you and which ones will terrify you. They know how to phrase a question so that you walk straight into their desired answer. And once you fall for the frame, you believe it was your choice all along. So, how do you protect yourself from the framing effect? The first step is awareness. You need to recognize when information is being framed for you, not just presented to you. The moment you pause and ask, why is it worded this way? You begin to take back control. Whenever you hear a claim, flip the frame. If someone says 90% chance of success, immediately ask yourself, okay, so that's also a 10% chance of failure. By reframing it yourself, you see the full picture instead of just the one they want you to see. Another strategy is to focus on the raw numbers, not the emotional packaging. If a politician says thousands of jobs created, check the percentage. If a brand says save $100, calculate how much you're still spending. Numbers don't lie, but the frame around them can. Slow down your decision making. The framing effect works best when you react quickly. Marketers want you to act on impulse. But if you take just a few extra seconds to step back, the emotional manipulation starts to lose power. Also, consider the source. Ask yourself, who benefits from me seeing it this way? If the frame makes you feel fear or urgency, chances are someone is pushing you toward their agenda. By questioning motives, you weaken the influence of the frame. Practice neutral thinking. Instead of accepting phrases like risk or opportunity, translate them into neutral language in your own mind. For example, replace "don't miss out on this deal" with "this is simply a 20% discount." Neutral words strip away emotional manipulation. Another powerful defense is to expose yourself to multiple frames. Don't rely on one news source, one advertisement, or one perspective. When you compare different framings of the same fact, the manipulation becomes obvious. It's like stepping back from a painting. You finally see the full picture instead of just one corner. And finally, trust your discomfort. If a sentence feels like it's pressuring you into a decision, it probably is. Your instincts are often the first to notice manipulation. Instead of ignoring that feeling, pause and dig deeper. The truth is, you can't escape the framing effect completely. It's part of how human brains work. But you can learn to spot it, slow it down, and make sure the final choice is truly yours. The moment you take control of the frame, you take control of the decision. At the end of the day, the framing effect is everywhere. It's in the headlines you read, the advertisements you scroll past, the conversations you have with friends, and even in the advice you get from people you trust. A single sentence can make you feel safe or terrified. It can make you spend money or save it. It can make you agree or resist, not because the facts change, but because the frame around them did. That's the power of psychology. It doesn't just shape your thoughts, it shapes your reality. And the more blind we are to it, the more control others have over us. But once you see it, you can never unsee it. You begin to notice the subtle push behind every word. And suddenly, your decisions truly become your own. So here's my question for you. Have you ever realized after the fact that you made a choice because of how it was worded? Maybe an ad, a headline, or even a conversation with someone close. Share your experience in the comments. I'd love to hear your story. And if you found this eye-opening, don't forget to subscribe, because this is just one of the many hidden tricks your mind falls for every single day.